Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host with the most. My name is Gomez, and today I have a special guest. She is a coach, she is an author, she is a speaker. She is visiting with me today. Her name is Chitra Rochlani. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know we met a few weeks ago, actually through Karen, through her little uh
Live stream.
live stream on Instagram, and actually I am going to have Karen on the show too soon. So
Awesome.
it was a great little connection for me that night, actually.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling, you know what I mean? And I'm thank you for coming on the show. I know you were busy today. A
Uh,
lot going on, especially on Saturdays. I know how it is with family. Trust
yeah.
me, I'm a father and a husband, so I know how it is. But how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and
Is
this
it for
conversation.
Well, great, great. Well, like I said, we're here to talk about what you are doing. Like I said in my introduction, you're a coach, an author, and a speaker, but also you're like a true like mindset warrior. As I read your website, your little inserts on Instagram. Let's talk about this a little bit. Now, I know you're in New Jersey, if I'm correct, in Livingston, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Livingston, New Jersey. I've been here about 8 years, moved around Morris County for a little bit. Yeah. So I started off my coach journey in 2014 after I went through my own personal weight loss journey and got healthier, got into clean eating. And it inspired me to, understand the mindset behind getting healthy.
Mhm.
And once I personally got inspired, I knew that I wanted to share it with others. And so before I did that, I wanted to get my certifications and making sure that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm an ASM certified personal trainer, corrective exercise specialist. I have my nutrition coaching certification. I've done some behavior change specializations. So, I like to come at it from the perspective of mindset because
Mhm.
I feel like there's so many quick fixes and gimmicks out there, and so much focus on the external in terms of what does the scale say or what does the dress size say. I think it's more important for us to look at health from the inside out,
Mhm.
and the mindset is a big part of that for me. So that's what I try to focus on, and bring my mindset into everything, whether it's working out. If you're working out with me, I do online boot camp classes where I'm constantly focusing on your form more than anything else. So to me, it's important that you move correctly and efficiently and functionally rather than just moving to burn calories, because you will get the results, but you'll get better results if you're moving with intention. And I think that whole mindfulness can be practiced even in a workout. So,
It's kind of funny.
yeah.
And that's kind of funny because I'm a big guy. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I've gone through like you said, the quick fixes and all that stuff. And so no one's ever really, I've never heard anyone speak like that now, like today as we're speaking, because you don't realize how much goes into this.
Oh,
As a guy that I'm an eater, I will not lie. I love to eat. I as a type 2 diabetic, I try to be careful. Like right now, there's no soda, so I have Poland Springs sparkling water here.
cheers.
So,
I always have this is my signature look, by the way. You always see me with a half gallon.
I was
Cheers.
with a
There you
gallon of
go.
water. So,
I love it.
I try to drink more water. My vice is if I have a bad day or something went wrong or I'm just not in that mood, it's eating. Eating was my safe haven, especially when I will say when my father passed away. You know, drinking and eating was a key for me. It was a way of me to break out. But to hear someone say the mind is part of that is unbelievable because I didn't know that.
Oh
When
my
I
God, it's such a big part of it.
it,
I've done all the yo-yo diets. I've done, every diet, you name it, and I've tried it, right?
okay,
All my life. Since I was 16, I've been trying diets. So it's been a crazy ride of going up and down, up and down, up and down. But this was the first time that I had, coaches who were able to teach me the value of clean eating and how eating clean is not only beneficial to your body, but to
mhm,
your mind and also to the planet and the world in general,
right.
right? Because all of these people that are making these processed food items, they're just banking on our weakness, right? They're banking on the fact that we're going to fall for it as a coping mechanism, because that's what we do.
Mhm.
All the food that we see, food is comfort.
Yeah,
Food is an instant source of comfort. So
it is.
obviously, it's the easiest thing to turn to, and it's legal, and it's always available and accessible. So why not, right? Everybody would turn to food. But like when you think about the triggers, right?
Mhm.
Why am I turning to this food? What is making me turn to it? Or why did I eat that whole bag of cookies? Like, why did I do it? If you dig a little deeper, then
Right.
you really get to the mindset part of it. And then you're like, oh, okay, there's something more here.
Yeah, now that I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, well, why did I have that third hot dog for lunch right now? Like,
Right?
it's
Yeah.
kind of funny that you're saying that because you don't realize that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's an anxiety thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a depression kind of thing. And I don't mean it to call it a thing. I really mean like you said, it's something in the
But it is
mind.
though. I think let's call it what it is, right?
Yeah,
Because it's a problem, and it's a universal problem. And I feel like even like now, I'm from India originally, and I look at people there, and this whole junk food culture is just taking off there. And I
it's
see it happen,
amazing.
and they're falling for it because their lives were not as hectic as they used to be 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And now they're more hectic. So there's more stress, more of everything. There's more money, there's more everything. So they want to, kind of take a break from their life and indulge in something fun.
And it's kind of funny that we're saying this. COVID didn't help us either.
No,
COVID.
no.
I mean, I've seen some people who were in the best shape of their lives before COVID hit,
Yeah.
and I saw and I don't and I'm not an insulting person. Listen, I've taken my licks as a big guy. I've been a big guy from grammar school all the way to high school. I've heard all the names. I've heard all the bullying. I've heard everything you could think of from the book. And there was an instance. There was a gentleman who was muscular, ripped. He had the muscles, and then I haven't seen him for a year because of COVID. And I'm like, wow, I didn't recognize he had the beard and got a little almost like a little gut going. I'm like, dude, what happened? He goes, COVID. He goes, I'm
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my butt eating more.
And
Where
that tells you, I think, a little bit about how much of a mind game this is, right? Because
yeah,
COVID was all hard in ways that none of us expected, right?
no,
Mentally, I think it did a number on everybody. And whether we like to admit it or not, whether we're seeking therapy or not, whether we're getting the help we need or not, we're definitely coping. And some of us are coping with food,
yeah,
or with lack of exercise, or just this general feeling of not being happy overall, because we did get shut down, and we're social beings. We need people, we need socialization, we need connection. So it definitely was hard.
no, it definitely is. And I mean, I look at my children before COVID. My daughter was she's don't get me wrong, she's still very active, and she was happy she was going to school before COVID hit. Unfortunately, my son was born during COVID. So
Oh,
his the funny thing that you said socialization with people is such a huge difference between my daughter and my son right now. And he is going to daycare or toddler school, whatever you want to call it.
right.
He's there and
Preschool,
he's trying to
yeah.
communicate. He's talking a little bit more. I was worried about him not talking, you know what I mean, when he turned 2. And
Yeah.
there was more to it, but I realized that when Anthony, I'll say his name, Anthony, when Anthony was born, he wasn't as social as my daughter was because she was exposed before COVID even hit. She
Mhm.
was able to go out and express more of her feelings now, where Anthony's trying very hard, but he's not doing very well. So like even mentally, like you said, even as a help, even though it's a wellness coach to teach somebody something, even if it's being handsy or train their mind to eat differently or even think differently to have a better positive reaction.
Yeah.
Um, I've don't get me wrong, I've seeked help myself and I'm still sticking with it. And and it's helped me out in the long run because at the end of the day, for 2 years, as much as I talk to my wife about everything, there's some things that there's a little bit more of a hidden secret that you need to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
And
I think everybody should have a therapist. Honestly, I feel like if we could afford it, everyone should have it.
I
Yeah.
say this, thank God for my wife's insurance because she's a teacher.
There you
Because
go. Yeah.
I sat down with her. I said, listen, I definitely need to speak to somebody a little bit more because,
Agreed.
it's not that I'm not happy. I'm happy with my wife, happy with my 2 kids, but there's something COVID did a number on a lot of people, and I think I was so used to being socially active, like you said. I love reaching out to people, love hanging out with people, and these 2 years it really took a toll on a lot of people like myself, and I'll say it,
Yeah,
because
I think we have to keep saying it. We have to normalize the conversation, right? That's
yeah,
so important.
and that's where I think where podcasting has come through for me too, because it in the world of now, I'm doing Zoom meetings like this, and I'm posting it on YouTube because I want people to see the people we're talking to. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
the thing with me. I was more of I guess as a visual type of guy, you know what I mean? Because I like doing things like this. I love like the fact that we connected pretty quickly, and it was great because there was a good vibe right there. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
excited. I'm still excited because here we are talking.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like people don't realize, like for anxiety, I had a blog, I have my website where I blogged about anxiety and how I dealt with it. I dealt with building Legos, adult
Oh,
Legos, cars, Yoda, Batmobile, things like that. But I also did adult coloring books. And
oh my God, my favorite thing to do. That's my favorite thing
it's
to
same thing with me. I have like 4 books right here next to me
do. It's so
because
fun.
when I'm having a bad day or I just feel like I just can't, I gotta stop thinking for a little while. I literally can get lost in these books for 2 to 3 hours, and
I
my
love it.
mind and be peaceful, and then I can talk to my wife, try to be calm with my kids, and that's the thing, like you said, when not being born in the US for you, this was a journey to come to New Jersey though. From
Yeah.
I know you said you were born in India, but your parents moved you to Dubai. Now, how old were you when you moved to Dubai? Let me ask you that question.
Yeah. I think I was like 2 or 3. So that was home to me.
Okay, so you were young when you moved.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So now,
Yeah,
how long
my
were you?
dad used to joke that, when you were born, you took us to Dubai, and then when you're leaving for the US, we're leaving for back for India. So they moved back to India when I
Oh,
left for,
okay.
yeah.
Now, how long did you live in Dubai from your,
So I did all my schooling there, up to high school, and then I actually went back to India for college because there
okay.
weren't like good colleges in Dubai at the time. And then I went back to Dubai, worked there for a while, and then I got married, came here.
What year did you come to the United States, if you don't mind me asking?
I came to New Jersey. I think we were in where did we? Oh God, why is the town like losing me? Islin, New
Oh,
Jersey.
Islip, New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah, that's where we moved to first. Yeah. And I was on a spouse visa then, so I could not work for 2.5
Oh,
years. I thought I was
wow.
gonna die. I was depressed as hell by the end of those 2 years. I was ready to kill somebody. And I remember the day I got my work permit, I opened the classifieds, I got the first job I could find in there, and I ended up doing photography.
Okay. I mean, but
Yeah.
still, that's exciting though. You know,
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. It's been interesting. Sorry, my dog's going crazy because
it's
I'm
okay.
picking the package up.
It's
Always
okay.
during the Zoom calls.
You know what? It happens. Don't worry about it. I remember, someone actually, their dog was sitting there. Actually, my last guest dog was sitting there. I'm laughing. He goes, "What's so funny?" I go, "Dude, your dog is just chilling right there watching TV as we're talking." And he started laughing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So please, it's
Yeah.
this is what happens when you're doing, recordings.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you from moving away from your parents. Now you're talking about moving to another country for you. How was the
Yeah.
transition from coming from Dubai, India, to coming to the United States to New Jersey? How was that transition for the first couple of
You
years?
know,
I know not
okay.
working wasn't
Yeah,
fun for you, so that's
that was
hard. I
hard.
get that, but
Yeah. But
trans
there's also something about the freedom, right? The knowing that you're moving to a country where, women are doing amazing things and able to do amazing things and do whatever the hell they want. I mean, I'm coming from a generation that had an arranged marriage,
Mhm.
from going from that to, you know, getting married to a guy who was in the States at the time is like, okay, there is a sense of excitement and freedom attached to it,
Okay.
even though there is the sadness of leaving your family and moving on. But it was, I don't know, it was just one of those things that everybody was doing. And it was like, at the time, there were a lot of my friends moving this side. And I was like, okay, I'm excited for the opportunity and see what comes of it. I don't think I was thinking it through a lot, but I
Mhm.
was excited to see what the possibilities were.
All right. Well, that's always a good sign. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've seen people who come to the country and really, they have their mindset on something, but they can't do it,
Yeah.
just because of, you know, either not enough experience or doesn't have the right, like you said, either the work visa.
Yeah, the visa situation. So that was a reality check. Like when I landed, I won't lie, it was like disappointing to know that I couldn't work. And I was like,
Yeah.
I thought Dubai was the country where they had all these crazy laws, like how come I can't work? So,
Right.
but I've always kind of seen myself as like this United Nations kind of person, like a global, I call myself a global citizen because everywhere I go, I make friends from all over the world. Like the first place I could go to when I moved here was the gym and the library. And my first two friends, one was from Japan, one was from Mexico. And then the owner of the gym was like a friend of mine. And then I ended up building a website for him. So it's just, I've always had like a mix of different, diverse set of
Mhm.
friends.
Same
And
with
so I
me.
think having lived in different parts of the world, maybe that has helped. I don't know.
I think that's a huge help too, because I think if you're, when you live in a different side of the world, what it is, with your own country. You know what I mean? My parents came from Cuba. My mom's from Cuba. My dad's from Peru.
Oh,
So,
okay.
when they both came to the country, again, diversity.
Yeah.
My
That's an
father.
experience.
It's an
Some
experience.
stories there.
Oh my God, my dad's stories and my mom. It's amazing how they are. They work their tails off. My mom is a huge college graduate where she's retired from her job now from a couple years ago, and she made her name for herself. And my dad, before he passed away, he was just a hard working ethic man. He had his ethics where he worked very hard. All he did was work for the family. It wasn't for him. He
Yeah.
and I think that's where I come from more. As much as my mom pushed me with the books, I was not really. I'm smart. Don't get me wrong, I'm smart, but I'm more street smart than I am book
Yeah.
smart. I
Well,
wasn't.
that's an important skill. They can't teach you street smartness,
No, and I mean, as I gotten older, yes, I've read more books. I've educated myself. I have a minor degree in business from 2-year college. You know what I mean? But I never pursued on because I have the work ethics of my father. I think I work
Mm,
hard, play
yeah.
harder, but it wasn't about me. Well, maybe the first few years it was about me. I won't lie. You know what I mean? But now with
Yeah.
being married as a father, everything I do goes to my kids and my wife.
Family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
And
about
it's
me anymore.
interesting what drives each of us, right? Everyone has different things that drive them. And it's interesting. But what I found living in different parts of the world, I know people are the same everywhere.
Right.
Whether I talk to them on Zoom from here in a different part of the world, or, whether I go live there, I feel like there's so much commonality between us, more
Mhm.
so than differences. So it's important to understand that, and then there's less problems when you see that. It's like people are so similar. We're so similar. The same
It's
things annoy us, the same things excite us.
yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, like you said, you have a variety of friends like I do. Like I said, I feel like New Jersey is a melting pot because you have all different races, different ethnicities, different
Yeah.
foods, different everything. And I think
Yeah,
it's always good to learn about other people's things. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? I live in Morris County and I'm very, I came from Bergen County to move to Morris County, which is kind of funny. I was used to living in Bergen County, it's a faster paced life.
Mm,
It's about let's get going, da 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 da. And when I
yeah,
moved to Morris County, it's more like, oh, it's a little bit laid
laid back.
back. Yeah. But
Yeah.
people expect you to get things done, but not like it has to be done that second. I came from Bergen County where it's like it has to be done 3 days prior to when it was really due.
Really.
So yeah, so the mindset has changed, when I moved to Morris County when I first met my wife. Um, I was living in an apartment where I didn't have to worry about the heating bill because I was on top of the boiler. So
Oh, wow.
so my bill was it was like $10 during the winter because I literally my apartment
Right.
was above the boiler room. I actually
That's
I had to open up the windows sometimes during the winter just so I don't have to die of
crazy.
sweatness. But
Wow.
my neighbors were Asian. They were Chinese, or I don't remember if they were Chinese or Korean. But I
Mhm.
know they were in the descent of that. And they were very nice, very pleasant. You know, they had a dog. I remember one night I was not feeling good. The dog was barking. I just called them like, listen, I'm not very well. Is your dog's barking? She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you didn't know. It's okay. Just please. She's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what it is, helping people. And like what you're doing, with the being a coach and everything, but you're also an author though, too. You
So
know,
yeah, I compiled a recipe book. I have it on my website. It's an ebook at the moment. And I'm actually working on my next book right now. So
oh, nice, nice.
yeah,
So now
so
that
that
you're,
was gonna be all about mindset. So I'm excited.
oh, well, that's good. So you started writing it already, or you're in
Yeah, I'm
processing?
almost done. So yeah, so it should,
Ooh.
yeah. It's the next step is coming up, which kind of scares me, but it's exciting at the same time.
Don't be scared. It's like you said, like, when I took on my own podcasting, I was scared. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie, because I didn't know. I said if I can get 5 people to listen to me or just subscribe to me, I'll be thrilled.
yeah. That's
Surprise.
funny you say that. Because I always say if one person reads my book or post or article or blog and it helps them, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. So I went from, I had a YouTube all these years, and I had maybe one subscriber to me, which I didn't post anything. And now I have 21 subscribers. So for me, after 5 or 6 shows, to have 21 subscribers, that's a win
Great.
for me.
That's fantastic.
And,
Yeah. I mean, I think we start to define ourselves, our success by what society says, right? And if
mhm.
we stop doing that and really just do what we love doing and put it out there, and if we're, aligned with what we're supposed to be doing, I think the people come. I think they show up. I think they start to see what you're doing and get drawn to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I remember my partner Brian, who was with my old show, Playlist Wars. I wrote a blog, "Who's Your Hero," and I said, I feel like I'm struggling with the podcast. Like, it's sometimes when you get that ultimate high, and then you see your numbers not the greatest for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and you're like, am I failing? What am I doing not right? And he always gave me tips to help me out. I mean,
Yeah.
to this day, he's still giving me tips. And I feel, he goes, that blog you wrote bothered me, not bothered him, but he was worried because he thought I was going to quit.
Oh,
I said, no,
yeah.
I was just putting out my feelings out there. It's not that I'm going to quit. I just wanted to blog
I
it
think
out there.
that, that's why they say it's everything's such a mindset game, right? I mean, what happens in these like 6 inches is like insane. It can drive us to the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And it's so important because of that to
Mm,
keep your mindset, uplifted and empowered and,
yeah.
on the positive track rather than letting it slip into that, that itty bitty shitty committee in our head. It's
Yeah.
not healthy for us.
I love how you put it, itty bitty shitty committee, because that's what it is.
It is. And it can get the best of us. I mean, from presidents to like janitors, everyone is just, can succumb to that nonsense because we're so good at bringing ourselves down.
And that's something I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I believe you do the same too. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell we're both, we work our butts off, and we put our hearts on our sleeve to show it all, not show off, but to show people that we do care about you and them and other people. Like, I know your family supports you in every way they can.
Absolutely.
You know,
Really.
my wife and my kids, my wife actually said, hey, I'm going to give you 2 choices. I'm like, oh boy. She goes, if you want to go, like, I used to be a pool player before I met my wife. I literally dropped the game of pool to be with her more.
Oh,
So now, certain amount of years later, she comes up to me, since I'm not podcasting anymore. I'm not doing anything anymore. My thing was, what do I do? You know,
mm,
my
yeah.
coloring books are good. My anxiety is low. And, but she goes, if you want to go play pool, go play pool. But if you want to do the podcasting thing and get a new laptop, then it'll take time, but you can do it. So I sat there for a day or two, and I was really contemplating about playing pool. But then I started putting, how you do your pros and cons.
Yeah.
So, there was pros to playing pool again, being active and socially talking again.
Mhm.
Cons is coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning. You have a
Mhm.
couple of drinks in you. You wake up the next day not feeling great. I'm just like, if you lose bad in pool, like
Yeah.
I started playing out a lot of the heavy, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to podcasting, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it myself.
Yeah.
And
I think good for you because, it's hard to make those decisions sometimes, right? And it's important to understand and see the bigger picture of it.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, I mean, pool is probably fun and exciting, and there's nothing wrong with it. But, when I think that personally, for me, when I'm more productive, when I'm contributing to
Mhm.
the world in some way, I think the joy that I get can never be beat by, watching Netflix or, going out and having a few drinks. Like that's
Yeah.
all fun.
Mhm.
But like you get into this path of evolution where you're like, okay, I want to help people or I want to do something that makes a difference. I think you're on a completely different energy level, right?
Yeah.
And you start attracting people in your life that are at that level too.
And
And it's
that's
exciting to see
awesome.
what happens. Yeah.
It is, because like I said, I actually I posted up that on my website um about who's your hero. And
Mhm.
as we were talking before, and I said my dad was, and so was my mom. But my dad, when my mom worked during the day, my dad would take care of me. So my dad would stay home with me from the morning to the afternoon, and then he'll work at night, for us, and come home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then sleep for a couple hours and take care of me during the day. So I look up to him, and I look at my mom too. Like, I look up to both of them. And there was a gentleman who wrote something on my on that particular blog, said this actually caught my attention, and you are a talented artist. So for me to even hear that from somebody who I don't know, don't talk, I don't have a conversation with, out of the blue, was actually very meaningful for me. I wrote, I think, 29 blogs already,
Wow.
and three of my favorite pieces, not that, I mean, there's blogs about sports. I'm a New York Giants fan, New York Rangers fan. I love the Yankees, and I talk about the anxiety with the coloring book, but I decided about bullying.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I really want to raise awareness of bullying, um, because it happened to somebody I know, and I just, I took it upon myself to find a couple little pictures on the internet, post it on my website, because I think people need to realize that bullying is still happening to
Yeah.
this day, no matter what.
Unfortunate. Yeah, it's so unfortunate. And it's happening to the point where kids are taking their own lives. And I
Yeah,
think
and
that's when we need to really be like, we've gone wrong as a society. We've done our kids a disservice because it's heartbreaking. Like a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, a son took his life 2 years ago.
oh
And
wow,
it's awful, it's awful to know. I know another person in New Jersey who, is a very big advocate. Her daughter took her own life. And it's heartbreaking to hear these stories. And you think this is, you know, at the end of the day, humans are just craving connection,
yeah,
right? And if that connection for these kids in elementary and middle schools, it's happening as early as elementary school now, unfortunately.
that
And
is.
so bullying is taking its worst form right now. So I'm glad that you've been talking about this, and I think
It, and it's one of my first, like, I feel like, accomplished. I'm not a writer by trade. I'm not the true English literature guy who learned from school. Like, I wrote down what I felt. If I say it in my own words, I think people will understand. Not this, but quotation marks, commas, and no,
but
I wrote,
I think when we all speak from the heart, we make an impact.
yeah.
And
And
that's what it is.
I had a few of my friends who read it, and two of them called me up crying, like, seriously, like, Alex, wow,
Oh,
this was
I have to read
powerful.
it. I can't wait.
You know what I mean? And it's powerful. I mean, and I put like a little picture of a kid whose hands like this. It says "Stop bullying" his hand, as I'm looking at my website right now. And this was
Mm.
the last picture you see. And the one thing I said, please help our kids out. Let's show them that kindness and love is possible, not the hate.
Yeah. And I think it's hard because, I feel like as parents, even sometimes we, in the efforts to protect our children,
Hmm.
we end up not teaching them what's right. You know what I mean? Like they're especially like we're living all, in these affluent societies
Hmm.
where, people have a lot of everything,
Yeah.
right? And so if your kid comes home and tells you they didn't, get something at school, if your reaction as a parent is to say, oh, let me go fight for you, or let me go get that for you because you deserve it, right? That's
Hmm.
sending the kid the message that, oh, I can be as entitled as I want. My parents will figure it out for me. As opposed to saying, okay, why do you think you didn't get this? Or let's talk about it. Or what happened there? Is it something that you can work harder for? Is it something you can ask nicely for? Teaching the kids to advocate for themselves, we're not doing that. We're just
No.
coddling them, and then if things don't go their way, they only know how to fight back in by either bullying or something like that.
And that's something I'm trying to teach my kids right now. My daughter's 6, she's in kindergarten. I'm trying to teach her not, if people say something funny, just say, hey, I know you're jealous. I know you want this unicorn hat. You know what I mean? Something like that. Like
Yeah, humor is such
reverse.
a great way to deal with these
Yeah.
things.
I said, or if they're bothering you, just go right to the teacher and
Yeah.
and be that person. I go, I've done it myself. I told my daughter, I go, listen, I was bullied and I was the bully. And I
And
want
that's
to,
what they say, right? Hurt people hurt people.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if I got hurt, I hurt back. But
Yeah.
as I've gotten older, and now I'm in my 40s, I'm in my young 40s, I'll say that. um, I
My old 40s.
realized early 40s, like
Doesn't matter. It's all a
four,
number.
yeah, 4 and a 3. But
Yeah.
but as I've grown up and I've noticed things now, like I'm having my children in my 30s and not in my 20s, like some of my other friends, or in their late 20s, early 30s, or mid 30s. And I come to realize is the bullying's not stopped. And I know it's hard and I know it's difficult. And because of COVID, kids have learned different things now because they've watched more TV. They see different things now. And I don't blame the parents at all. I'm not blaming anybody. It's unfortunately at this point in life that, when you see the kids, you're like, oh, have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Bergen County, and hey, listen, if something happened with a feud, there's always going to be a feud somewhere. So, it's either a fight in the backyard, a fight at the back of the school, or I'll see you down at the field and we're going to take care of things. But now I even wrote it on my thing saying it's not like that. It's lawsuits,
Oh,
criminal
and social
records,
media. Don't
social
forget
media.
social media.
Yeah.
Everything's
So,
online.
yeah. And so for me, I figure, what's the point? Just educate, educate, educate. And
Educate and
that's
yeah.
and that's the thing, and that's what you're doing again. I mean, I'm sorry if we're getting off a little bit off topic, but it's like you're educating your clients. And I see on Instagram you had which is really cool because a lot of people don't realize it, that you have testimonies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
seeing your testimonies, seeing your clients, I wouldn't even say clients, I would call them friends, because when you're helping somebody, it's not a client, it's a friend. You're helping or family.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I see, and that's something I truly love what you do. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And that's something, and that's for me, the way I call it, is an old soul.
oh,
And
yeah.
that's a good thing, you
Thank you.
know.
Yeah, no, I love what I get to do every day, and just helping people feel empowered, right?
Mhm.
As opposed to feeling like looking at workouts as a punishment or eating clean as a suffering. I want to help them see it as a way to be empowered to take care of our body, because we really just have only this body to live in for the rest of our lives.
True.
And yeah, it's important to look good and be a certain size and all that, but more than that, you want to have good health and be strong enough so that you can be there for your kids and your grandkids. And
Mhm.
having that strong reason behind why you want to take care of yourself is so important, because we get caught up in the rat race, and we're doing so much. I feel like especially women, they don't tend to take care of themselves. They want to take care of the kids, they want to take care of the husband, they want to take care of the house, they want to take care of their jobs, they want to take care of their friends, but they're the last ones that they look at. So for me, I think that my primary role becomes then to be the warrior for them. And I
Right.
use the term warrior a lot. It's in my business name. And I like to, be their warrior for them until they can become their own warrior.
And
Because
that's
I
what,
always say there's a witch and a warrior in our head,
yeah.
constantly battling. And the witch is loud and proud, and the warrior's like whispering tiny things every now and then. But my job is to, change that dynamic and make the warrior louder and kill that witch and be like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
And that's what I loved about the name of it, mind, body, spirit, warrior, which is really cool. And that's catchy because when I was like, wow, warrior, I didn't think about that until like you even on your website, Fit Warrior Life. I'm like, I didn't think about the name a little bit. Like as I was prepping for you to come on, and I go, wow, that is actually a really good name because there's something with this warrior that is going to be fighting something.
Yeah.
And
because we're all fighting the old us and moving towards the new us, right? So there is an old me that's my old story, my old conditioning, my old habits, and then there's the new me, which is my dreams, my goals, my visions for myself.
right.
And the way to get there sometimes is to go to war with that old me and identify what was holding me back. And I've had my own personal growth journey where I'm also a medium, so I am also an intuitive, and I teach intuition, I teach mind meditation. So for me, it's all tied in, mind, body, spirit, everything together. So for these past like 8 years, I was talking about fitness, 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 and now I've been a medium for 20 years, and I actually just shared that with the world last year.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I thought, oh, people are gonna think I'm crazy, it's whatever. So I was hesitant to talk about it, but as I brought that out into the world, it just has changed the direction of my life so much, and people are so much more open to all of these things now than they were 20 years ago. And so I've been going around doing workshops talking about intuition, how people can tap into their intuition, because there's so many reasons that we struggle with our bodies. And some of it is to do with emotions that have been suppressed and not being dealt with.
Right.
So, we got to unpack that stuff. Sometimes we got to go, obviously get help with somebody professional who can help you do that, in a safe way, but break it down, see what you're holding on to. Is it worth holding on to or not? And then constantly that constant battle between the old you and the new you until you find this place of alignment where you're like, okay, this is where I was meant to be. This is what I was meant to do. And you feel good about that. And then you're in this constant state of ease and flow. And it's like, everything's working out. Everything's going beautifully. Like I go on a live chat and I meet Alex Gomez and I'm on his podcast, right?
Yeah.
Magic happens when you're aligned.
It does. And it was kind of funny. It was like, I wasn't there to even, I was just listening to her and Marissa talk, and it's kind of funny. And I was just like starting to talk. We're like, yeah, I agree because I'm just starting off. And then you were chiming in a little bit, and then there we go. We connected pretty quickly. And Karen ended up following me really quickly too that night as I followed her. And we follow each other now. You know what I mean? Like she's got a great stuff going on in her line too.
Amazing. I love her.
And I can't wait to get her on the show, actually. I think she'll be on in a week or two, I think. I don't know. So, and Marissa will be on next month in April.
Okay.
And so, I actually have a jam-packed month, and my wife goes, you're really pushing this month. I go, yes, because as I get busier at work, shows are going to be harder to come by for me because of work schedule. I mean, this is why I do nights, like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays and nights, and then Saturdays or Sundays, like to kind of help progress me and the show and talk about everyone's business and stuff like this. And this is why I support local New Jersey. It's not just being Jersey strong, but also showing how people are surviving in New Jersey. And I want someone in California to realize, even though you might be a little bit expensive than we are, but if we can do it, you guys can do it.
Yeah. It's always interesting to listen to different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
I love listening to all different perspectives and all different kinds of people, and there's always something to learn.
Without a doubt, I learn every day between where I work and being as a podcaster. And today, I've learned a lot more than I realized. Information that you've just said, as a mind and the body and everything. You know what I mean? Even that little speech you're just saying, hey, you got the witch over here, and then you got your little warrior on this side. Who are you going to listen to? Yeah. And that is true. And that's a thing. I mean, 9 times out of, I'll say my little devil wins
Yeah.
over the warrior because you're used to listening to him. But maybe it's like now, maybe I have to change my thinking a little bit. Like, wow, maybe I need to change this a little bit. You
It's all
know,
about awareness, right? I mean, I always use the 3 A's, the awareness, acceptance, and action. I feel like
mm,
those are the 3 A's to make any change in your life, right? First step is to become aware, like, okay, who's louder? Is the witch louder or the warrior louder? Okay. And when the warrior is loud every now and then, how does that make me feel?
yeah,
And chances are it makes you feel empowered, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel great. And when the witch is loud, you feel great for a little bit, but then you feel awful after, you
yeah.
know.
I'm learning that as I've gotten older, I've learned some things, and you definitely have to change some mind thinking a little bit here and there, like you said. And but it also comes with positive awareness with positive attitude, you know what I mean? And that's something I've learned a lot because I was always a negative, not
Mm.
real negative, but like I always got down on myself. I really put myself down. Nobody else ever did. I don't care
I
what.
think that's, yeah, that's what they say. Like, it doesn't matter what the world says about you. What matters is how you look at yourself,
I mean, I
right?
look at myself and I see myself as a proud man. You know, I could be the biggest guy and can't move, and I still be proud of what I've done and who I am. I would not care. You know what I mean? I don't care
Yeah.
what my looks are. If you like me for who I am, then we're friends. If you don't, then don't bother to get to
And I
know
think
who
it's
I
so
am.
important that we go out with that energy, right? When we're hard on ourselves, we are not putting our best selves out,
Right.
right? And we're hesitant or we're scared or we're going out with worry or anxiety. And then the version that we're showing to the world is this worry-filled, anxiety-filled version. And as a it's not easy for us to attract what we want from that energy.
Right.
But when we build our confidence and, going back to the point of bullying, I feel like if all of our kids had that self-esteem and the confidence that they were amazing no matter what, they're less likely to get pulled into that energy of the bully,
Mhm.
right? It's easy for the world to bring you down, but I think we bring ourselves down more than anything else. So if we can
Yeah.
lift ourselves up and be surrounded by positive people and positive things, then it's easier to come out of that.
Right.
And yeah.
And that's the thing, like you said, it's making sure you're surrounding yourself with positive things, and that's where I think family's huge these days. More than anything, like you just don't realize how much more you need your family because of positivity of a spouse or your kids, and
Yeah.
seeing them smile and seeing them laugh. That's the best part of
And your kids
anything.
are at such a good age right now. Like, I think of mine, I have older kids, I have a sophomore in college, sophomore in high school. So, they're past that cute age when anything they say sounds cute. So I miss
Right.
those days. So, I tell people, I'm like, enjoy this because you don't know how soon it's going to be gone. There'll be teenagers talking back at you.
Yeah, my 6-year-old thinks she's a teenager, so I already got that part going. But no, but I enjoy seeing my daughter learn and try to improve her life, and seeing my son being the spitfire that he is. He's a firecracker, and that's the one thing I love seeing, is seeing them grow. Because I remember when I had my daughter, people said life is going to be moving faster than you really expected, and you're not going to, when you blink they're 6 already. And it's kind of funny, I've taken notice, like, wow, she's turning 7 this year and he's turning 3.
Wow.
I'm going, oh, good Lord, life is going quick. So that's something I try to take as much time as I can. If I'm able to do some of my podcasting and talking to people and getting interviews set up, not interviews, like I said, conversation wise, set up during the day so I have more time at night. And if I have to record like once a week, I'm going to do that just so I have the family time. I mean, unfortunately, I jam packed myself this month a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'm putting out quality, not quantity. Because
Yeah.
I don't edit this. I just play it because I want people to see who naturally we are.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
You
The
know,
more real we can get, the more authentic, we come across and we attract the right energies. I think it's all a game of energies, according to me
yeah.
at least.
No, and that's the great thing. You know what I mean? Like for me, I don't put the music on because I just want to just go right into it and end the right way. I actually had a stand-up comedian he said something funny and he goes, goodbye. And he hung up and my face was perfect. Like, wow, did he just do that? And I didn't even get to see him. I didn't even get to say my ending. But at the end of the day, when I looked at it, I thought that was hilarious.
It is.
You
Yeah.
know,
And it's perfect. You
and it's
can't make that.
perfect.
You can't plan that stuff.
No, you can't. And that's what I love. And that's where I think, you know, if you curse, great. I could care less. If you don't curse, I respect that. If you want to say something dumb, go ahead. You want to say something even funnier, please. You know, and that's what I love about the show. You know what I mean? And that's what I love to do. And this is what you love to do too. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it great. You know, and that's what I love.
I think it lights me up. It lights me up so much. I feel so blessed because I know so many people, you know, in their 40s, 50s, in corporate jobs, and they're like miserable because
Yeah.
they're not doing what they want to do. And then they're a slave to the paycheck, so they can't leave, you know, and it's so hard. And I feel bad for them because I'm like, you know, yeah, I'm not making as much money maybe, but I'm happy and I'm making an impact and I'm changing lives, and I feel like I'm bringing a positive impact in somebody's life. And at the end of the day, that gives me more joy than any amount of money could, right? So yeah, of course I'm running a business, so I want to make the money and I want to feel good, and money has power to, you know, give back and contribute in ways that I am passionate about. But you know, the ability to make impact is huge, and that's what I live for. And you know, it just lights me up every day.
That's awesome. Well, as like I say, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been a very pleasure. But Chitra, where can everyone find you so they can look you up and everything? Where, you know, websites, everything, you know, let it out now.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's been a fun conversation. It's fun getting to know you a little bit more, and I look forward to reading your blog and checking out all of the amazing stuff that you're doing. So my website is fitwarriorlife.com. That's just like it said, FITWARRIORLIFE.com. And I'm on Instagram as the Mind Body Spirit Warrior. I know it's not the same, and my branding coach would look down at me like, what are you doing? But I'm expanding into the spirit world as well. So I changed the Fit Warrior to Mind Body Spirit Warrior. So that's where you can find me on Instagram. And, you know, that's where I'm most active. I also started a YouTube series. It's like a micro podcast where I'm just talking for like under 7 minutes, and I pick a topic. You know, my last topic was everyone can be a monk in the monastery, but can you be a monk in the mayhem? You know, and I tried to talk about, you know, kind of finding your grounding yourself and kind of like being in touch with your intuition and coming from that place. And then, you know, I have on my website, you'll see all my information. But yeah, look me up and get in touch. I love to hear from people and connect with them. So yeah.
We definitely will, and I can't thank you enough for coming. It's been a pleasure for having you here with me tonight, or this afternoon, technically. You know, again, it's just been an honor having you on the show, and thank you so much for even giving me a little bit of an insight of what more comes to, you know, as a wellness and a fitness coach too. You know what I mean? It's interesting, and you learn a lot, and you know, even though it's a short amount of time, but you'd be surprised what you can learn in a few minutes too. So I really appreciate you coming. And everyone, please keep listening. I do have another great show coming in a week. Check her out. Check out Chitra and her Mind, Body, Spirit Warrior on Instagram. Check her out on her webpage, which I already forgot because I'm bad. Fitwarriorlife.com. Sorry.
And I have a free a bunch of free recipes on there as well. So I love making clean foods, easy and accessible. So if you want my favorite energy balls, I call them, and that's fitwarriorlife.com/get some balls.
Nice. I actually like that. So guys, you heard it. A perfect way to end the show. I can't thank you enough. And everybody who's keeping an eye on the show or watching us, thank you. Check me out on sleevygpodcasts.com and keep checking me on YouTube and all the podcasting stations. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Love, peace, and happiness. Guys, have a good one.